The Paperclip Murders. Chapter 8. Shakespeare was a Roman, and that's stupid. "Good afternoon, Mr. Carrington," the short little man in the familiar blue suit piped, in an almost sing-song voice. I frowned at him over the rack-a-tack-a-tacka of the typewriters that the four busy people in the office were thrumming, like they were Roman guards flogging the prisoners. Mr. Woodchuck had his hand raised as though I perhaps wouldn't have been able to see him, though he stood no more than 40 feet away. Apparently we were on a first-name basis now, or so he thought. I waited for him to scurry up to me and greeted him with a firm, businesslike handshake. "Mr. Filbert," I gruffly nodded at him, pumping his arm up and down, and then switched his hand up for something more my speed, like the cigarette I flipped between my lips. His eyes darted to the unlit tip of the smoke, like he was trying to set it on fire with just his beady gaze, and I was tempted to suddenly shout "Booga!" at him and measure how far he jumped. But I was here on business, and it was about time to get down to brass tacks. "It's about time to get down to brass tacks, Woodchuck. I need to start interviewing your staff, especially anyone who knows both you and the deceased." Woodchuck nodded and bustled over to a corner office, flapping a hand at one of the girls to his right. "Mary, let's have you come here. Mr. Carrington wants to speak with you." Mary, a 20-something blonde with intense blue peepers and a figure that could set lava on fire, stood up and crossed into the office, her shoes click-clacking on the tile floor. Normally, I hated interviewing clerical types, but I could see this one being rather more enjoyable. I took a seat behind the desk, settling into the black leather cushion with a slight sigh, and thought that I might have to order one or two for my own office. Mary brushed her skirt down over her knees, touched up the hair on her right side, and waited for me to quit admiring my seat. I scanned the desktop for a glass of bourbon, then remembered I wasn't in my office and nodded. Woodchuck had taken a seat behind and to the left of Mary, looking like a kid called into the principal's office, and I nodded at him. The nod meant, "Thank you, I've got this, you can go." Of course, Woodchuck nodded back and didn't get the hint. I nodded again, and he nodded again, and suddenly there we were, complete silence in the room while we imitated drinking birds. I tired of the charade and thumbed at the door, my eyebrows rising as I stared at him with the look of a crazed man about to start spooning peanut butter into his shorts. Thankfully, no peanut butter needed to be spooned, as Woodchuck finally got the idea and sputtered up from his seat, brushing at his jacket bottom and leaving with a, "I'll just be outside." Once he was gone, I smiled at Mary, who looked slightly confused, and I adjusted the cigarette in my mouth. "Afternoon, ma'am," I began. "My name is Carrington Gray, and I'm a private detective. I'd like to ask you a few questions."